This video is brought to you by Storyblocks. Storyblocks is a one-stop shop for stock video footage, effects, images, and more, with royalty-free, subscription-based, accessibly priced, unlimited downloads. We use Storyblocks with turnaround times and low, predictable costs that were unimaginable just a few years ago for channels and small production firms like ours, or yours. To learn more, visit them at storyblocks.com/Hugh. Thanks, Storyblocks. With the ever greater diffusion of computer-aided design and manufacturing on the one hand, and a growing embrace of capitalism with a concomitant rapid increase in the size of highly skilled labor on the other, new brands from places not known for any of these things particularly have been making dramatic gains as the world's suppliers of everything. But today, we'll keep our focus limited to video lighting, because over the past few weeks, I've been using a chip-on-board LED video MONOLIGHT from a brand I'd never heard of, and straight up, I think it's the best light of its kind you can actually buy for under $300, and it's better than that price suggests. Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant. Today I want to give you my quick take on Viltrox's $240 Weeylite Ninja 200 portable bicolor COB LED light. It is an extremely likable, how's that for the first adjective to come to mind, compact, aggressively priced, thoughtfully designed, well-built, legible, easy to use, high-quality video light that comes with a performant remote control app. Yay! It is a light that you'll keep using long after you grow beyond budget lighting, and that makes it holy grail kind of kit, a budget light that belies its budget price. The Weeylite Ninja 200 is two caveats away from being unassailable at anywhere near the price, save for either of two new lights from Aperture's reinvigorated Amaron sub-brand, the $250 in theory, but $350 in reality 100x bicolor, or the $200 in theory, but $300 in reality daylight only 100D. Now, I haven't had the 100X in hand, but I did buy a 100D with my own hard cash, and as you'll see in a little bit, the 100D addresses both of the concerns I have with the Weeylite head-on: fan noise and a non-standard Bowens S style mount, and then handily outpowers it. In fact, if you have the same lighting priorities I do, that is, you adhere to the first four laws of brownstone lighting theory, which are: 1, you can never have too much power; 2, you can never have too little fan or ballast noise; 3, daylight balanced lighting is the right lighting most of the time; and 4, you want more choice in directly mountable light modifiers than less, you might decide to trade off the Weeylite's bicolor flexibility, smaller size, easily mountable Sony NP-style battery sled, nice carrying case, USB-C port for updates, and modest price advantage. And pony up an extra $60 for the Amaron 100D's superior output, built-in Bowens mount, and surprisingly quiet fan. Actually, just half that amount if you want the Bowens mount adapter. Again, at least in theory, hold that thought. But maybe not, because truly, this little Weeylite is so well considered and so good for what it is that you may find it
simply irresistible.
In either case, fan, noise, and a non-standard mount for modifiers notwithstanding, the Weeylite is unassailable compared to the 3 other budget bicolor COB monolights I've tested, 2 recently. GVM's $289 100W light with China Ball style softbox and Generay's $500 Monobright 750. Although this is yet another, at least in theory, because first, while a Bowens mount adapter for the Ninja 200 is listed on the Viltrox store site as part of an upgrade package, when I reached out to Viltrox to ask for one so I could do a more complete comparison, I was told they were out of stock. If this is a very temporary situation. There are shortages across most industries as a result of pandemic-induced supply chain interruptions around the world. Well, that's one thing. The price of the upgrade kit for the Ninja 200, including battery sled, Bowens adapter, and handle, is all of $30, making it even more attractive and still under $300. But if the Bowens adapter is an ambition and not an actual shipping accessory, that is something else. Unless you don't care about mountable light modifiers, in which case, A, stop watching, because you shouldn't be thinking about lighting anyway. Or B, you're comfortable with skinning the cat. That's really not a good metaphor. Other ways, like book lighting, C-stands, scrims, and the like, which is perfectly valid. Second, fan noise can be ameliorated by mic placement, acoustic treatments, and or post-production with software tools like Isotopes RX, which I do use. So, how much of a concern is the Weeylite's fan noise? Well, at 63 decibels measured at the light itself rather than a more real-world 3 to 6 feet away, I let all of the lights run at 100% power for half an hour before measuring. The Weeylite tied the MONOLIGHT 750 as noisiest of the bunch, followed by the GVM 100W at 57 decibels, which I also consider noisy. These numbers essentially demand audio post-processing here in the Batcave. My go-to light here, the $750 Aperture 120D Mark II, came in at a significantly quieter 52 decibels, though fan speed seems to be a function of the actual amount of heat needed to be dissipated, a good thing. In other words, at lower output, it is much quieter than that. Hold that thought too. Unlike the Weeylite, by the way, which seems to run the fan at full speed from the get-go, although to be fair, this is also true for the GVM and Genere. Still, the 120D2 is noisier than I'd like, requiring until recently a little post-production tweaking, a burden pretty well lifted from me now that I've changed my microphone placement. But the really interesting thing is that fan noise from the Amaron 100D, at less than half the price of the 120D2, measured just 40 decibels. Color me gobsmacked. At a real world 3 feet from the mic, it is essentially silent. Whoa. But back to the Weeylite. What about the actual quality of the light? I measured all 5 lights' output at 100% power, aimed at a seamless white paper background 1 meter away using Adam Wilt's Cine 2 app on my iPhone. I did this without reflectors because I thought this would be a truer test of the actual fixture's performance and more in line with how I actually use these kinds of lights. Diffused, including sometimes the whiteboard bounce, where a fixture's wide beam usually makes more sense than intensifying the center. I set the bicolor lights to 5400 Kelvin, taking note of the daylight balanced 120D2's rating of 5500K and the daylight balanced 100D's rating of 5600K. Now, an iPhone app is not the same thing as a $1,600 Sekonic C800 spectrometer, but it doesn't cost as much either, and whatever error exists on my part is systemic in nature by using this app. In other words, good enough for our purposes here. The little Weeylite's measured output was 639 candelas per square meter at 1 meter, and just 2% below its dialed-in color temperature of 5400K, requiring 1 green Ratten color correction filter, which is fit for purpose in the Batcave in terms of output and outstanding in terms of color accuracy. You're seeing it in action right now, diffused through a scrim. The GVM 100W and Genere MONOLIGHT 750 had marginally higher output at 690 and 590 candelas per square meter respectively, but varied farther from the dialed-in color temperature and showed greater tint. For comparison, my Aperture 120D2 put out dramatically more light, 2,230 candelas per square meter, 5 magenta color correction required, at a slightly cooler temperature, 3%, than its rated 5,500K. Finally, the $300, in fact, Amaron 100D gave me the most impressive bang for the buck of all, I think. 1,490 candelas per square meter, less than 1% warmer than its rated 5,600K with just 1 magenta color correction. And remember, it is by far the quietest among them, and is compatible with Aperture's very sophisticated multi-light control app, CitiSlink. I don't know of another app anywhere near this sophisticated and easy to use for this class of lighting. Well done, Aperture. The Amaron's performance prompted me to go back to the Weeylite to explore color accuracy and output at other settings, since the Weeylite is, after all, a bicolor light, but I didn't play with the special effects or RGB. On this basis, it was impressive, if not uniform, as in 1/3 of 1% below its dialed-in color temperature value at 3000K, which is tungsten light, though with a more pronounced 15 green color correction required. Dialed in at 8500, crazy high in cold light, it measured 6% warmer with a similar 16 green color correction required. At 4000 Kelvin, where most bicolor LED panels are brightest, it measured just under 7% warmer with once again just 1 green color correction required. Just for grins, I then put the Mini-Me Bowens-inspired reflector on the Ninja 200, and the measured output jumped to 4,250 candelas per square meter with, of course, a much narrower beam angle. One can argue about which metrics best measure output. I'm no expert, but I understand lux, lumens, and candelas to all be closely related, and at 1 meter, 1 lux equals 1 lumen per meter squared, and thus equals 1 candela, or color fidelity. Hey, if I owned a C800, I'd happily post CRI, TCLI, or SSI scores. Or the fact that I didn't include beam angle. But again, my ambition was to give you a sense of relative output, and beam angle was not available for every light, so let's move on. As for the rest of what goes into the decision-making process for buying a budget LED light, any light really, in terms of build quality, usability including things like switchgear, cable connections, LCD legibility, and app performance, industrial design, of which usability is a considerable part, but also includes the yoke and levers. The 120D2 stands head and shoulders above the GVM and Genere. But the Weeylite is not far behind the 120D2, a touch below Aperture's Amaron 100D, primarily a function of its friction-fit power cord versus the locking cables of the Aperture units. Again, a very strong showing for the Weeylite. Since we've already talked price, the only other parameters left are reliability and support, so let's talk briefly about them. Aperture is a known commodity, and I've never had an issue with any of their lights, and frankly, I like them. I like the people. Genere has been sold by B&H for years. I wouldn't worry about either company standing behind their products. GVM, on the other hand, is new to me, but I have seen a quantum leap in build quality between the first light of theirs I tested, the COB G100W, and their G1000D LED panel. Then again, it's just too early for me to assess their product's reliability or support of them, and even their G1000D is not nearly as well conceived and executed as the Weeylite. While the Weeylite brand is new to me as well, Viltrox is not. I tested their 85mm f1.8 last year and came away very impressed. I think they are here to stay. The Weeylite itself has such a compelling industrial design that I believe it is a keeper, unlike many lights from other manufacturers in the budget category, which are here today and gone tomorrow. Which is another reason why I'm so bullish on the Weeylite Ninja 200, though I remain uncertain about the relationship between the two brands other than what I see. Weeylite is being sold by Viltrox. All of which leaves us where precisely? To me, it's pretty straightforward. The Weeylite is the most compelling under $300 COB light I've yet seen by far. Special effects capabilities of the light are, for me, nice to haves, not need to haves. It is easy to recommend the Ninja 200 just for the basics. It's a doddle to use, including the app, and the joy of using a product that just plain works should not be underestimated. It is marred only by more fan noise than I'd like and lingering uncertainty about the ability to mount existing modifiers to it. If you can live with these two things, consider the Ninja 200 to be a no-brainer, and it comes with that nice carrying case to boot. However, if you value maximum output and whisper quiet performance per dollar over all else, don't need bicolor, aren't bothered about battery power, which in fact is easy enough with the appropriate cable to a V or gold mount battery, and want more sophisticated app control over multiple lights, then the Amaron 100D for about the same money when you figure in the incremental cost of the Bowens adapter upgrade kit, if it's truly available, is a more appropriate choice. I'll finish up with a sports metaphor. It seems to me that with the Ninja 200, Weeylite has hit a long, high ball out toward the left field fence, but it has fallen just inside the track. And Aperture is right there with its new Amaron 100 series to scoop it up and hold Weeylite to second base. For now. Kudos to both companies. This video was brought to you by Storyblocks. To learn more, visit www.storyblocks.com/Hugh. Thanks, Storyblocks. If you like what you've seen here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, join the conversation below because this is an incredible audience. If you'd like a copy of our Streets of New York, the book, head over to www.3bmep.com/books. If you'd like to schedule a one-on-one video session with me for a portfolio review, explore or hone your artistic voice, select gear, and more, sign up at www.3bmep.com/booking. Finally, consider supporting our work by using our no-cost-to-you affiliate links down below, picking up some official Three Blind Men and an Elephant swag at 3bmep.threadless.com, sending coffee money via PayPal, or best of all, join us as a patron over at Patreon. However you choose to support us, as always, we thank you for it.